Joe Biden has a hell of a lot of explaining to do about his horrid record in responding to the coronavirus pandemic. I mean, after all, the guy was neither president nor vice president or member of a cabinet or in any kind of position to do anything about it. But dang it, Republicans are furious at Joe Biden for not doing anything this year to help deal with the coronavirus pandemic. On Sunday, RNC chairwoman Ronna Romney McDaniel tweeted out a clip from George Stephanopoulos on ABC, where Stephanopoulos actually asked Simone Sanders, a surrogate for the Biden campaign, why Biden hadn't done anything. Real dumb question, by the way, coming from George Stephanopoulos, who's usually pretty good, been doing this for decades. You would expect more from him, but he asked the stupid question, and this gave clearance to Ronald McDaniel to tweet out the following with the clip in it. She said, Joe Biden can't run from his disastrous record responding to the coronavirus. The truth hurts, Joe. Oh, the truth does hurt, Ronna. And you got thoroughly roasted, by the way, on Twitter as a result of you posting this idiotic statement. Joe Biden wasn't president. Joe Biden had nothing to do with any of the response. Joe Biden wasn't in charge of PPE. Joe Biden isn't a doctor. Joe Biden doesn't own a hospital chain. Joe Biden isn't the CEO of a pharmaceutical company looking for a vaccine. Joe Biden had nothing to do with a single thing that we have seen so far this year with regard to the coronavirus. Not one single thing was Joe Biden actually in charge of. And luckily, most folks on Twitter were very quick to go ahead and point that out to Ronna, but it hasn't stopped, folks. You have conservatives out there who are legitimately saying, yes, Joe Biden has to answer for all of this. Answer for what? And if you ask them that, they say, well, the Obama administration left Trump empty-handed with, how to deal with a pandemic, because that's their other talking point. The truth is, no, they didn't, actually. They had the pandemic playbook. They had the funding set aside to deal with a pandemic. Trump came along, didn't follow the handbook for this particular pandemic, and he slashed the funding in order to be able to respond to a pandemic. So no matter which way you slice it here, this is all on Donald Trump, and none of it is on Joe Biden. Now, maybe Joe Biden said some things that weren't quite accurate in the early days of the pandemic. Well, guess what? All of us did. I know I did. Said a lot of things back then that I really wish I hadn't, things that I regret, things that I have, by the way, also apologized for and corrected since then, as has Joe Biden, as have millions of others, because we simply didn't know at the time. We know now. There is no excuse now. There is no hiding now. There is no covering up now. We all know how deadly and dangerous this is, and that includes Donald Trump. What matters is how you present it to the public. Trump is still out there trying to lie to us, saying that, no, this isn't a big deal. Things are going to be great. Don't worry about anything. Meanwhile, Joe Biden isn't running a single ad right now that doesn't show him prominently wearing a face mask in multiple different situations, trying to convey to the public, this is what you're supposed to be doing. That's a good message. That's a smart message. Will it resonate with the voters? Who knows? But one thing we do know is that all of the nonsense happening in this country right now, all of the deaths that we have seen so far this year, all of the bungled responses and the mismanagement and the stealing of PPE from one hospital to send it to another by Jared Kushner's shadow task force, not a single bit of that is Joe Biden's fault.